Welcome to another edition of the Eye on Life podcast, and I am here today with Laura Fellows, who is a real estate agent, social media influencer, and my guru of Miami, I guess, right? Is that appropriate, Laura? Can I say Miami guru? I use the word guru a lot on the show, but is that appropriate? I think I can say that, right?
I like it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I certainly like the title.
Well, let's go with that. And I have to say, so today we're keeping an eye on Miami with Laura, and a couple of things before we get started here. I want to say that this is not random, okay? The reason why we're talking to Laura is because I have aspirations of living in Miami someday. So there's always a little bit of selfishness with the show. I try not to make the show too self-indulgent, right? I criticize people who are self-indulgent. Some people might say just being a podcast host is self-indulgent, but I do have aspirations to live in Miami someday. But I have to ask you a question, and this is kind of an intro to the show here, but it's a very, very important question.
Okay.
So generally, I am not a jealous person. I'm very secure with my life. I love my life. I love the people that I have in my life. But I do have to say that throughout my life, I have been very envious of people who live in warm weather climates, because I hate snow. I hate the cold weather. And it's funny too, Laura, because I've always lived in cold weather. So it doesn't really faze me. I just don't like it. I grew up in upstate New York. I lived out in Buffalo for several years. And the furthest south that I got was Washington, D.C. And as you know, if you've ever been to D.C., it's by no means tropical.
No.
So I am very jealous of people that live in Miami. So I have a question for you. And this is not necessarily, this is kind of a Miami question, but it's also kind of a life question.
Okay.
I find that jealous people are very toxic, right? I don't like being around people who are jealous, because ultimately it ends up coming out in a very, in a way that's very unbecoming. It's just, people that are jealous, they're not secure with themselves, and oftentimes they will lash out in different ways. So I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
Living in Miami, I'm sure people are jealous of you, and I'm sure you probably have qualities that people might be jealous of. How do you handle jealous people? How do you manage jealous people that you may come into contact to in life?
I'll be honest with you. This is just this honest opinion. I haven't been around jealous people in quite some time, just because everyone here is they've made it. They're hardworking. We're all here. So, and there's plenty for everyone. So I haven't really been around a bunch of jealousy. I don't get a lot of it.
Well, that's a good thing. That means you're surrounding yourself with the right people. So,
okay.
And I think I think you raise a really good point, though, because I sort of feel like there are certain parts of the country where people are much happier. And I'm not saying that like up here in Connecticut and New England that people are unhappy. You have unhappy people and you have happy people everywhere. But I just feel like, for me personally, I feel like when the weather's like right now, I'm not really jealous of you because it's 80 degrees outside here in Connecticut. But in December, I am absolutely jealous of people that live in warm weather climates. So absolutely. I guess maybe if you live in Miami, you are maybe you take away that layer of geography and you have warm weather and people are less jealous. I don't know.
I mean, you have a good point for sure. The winter is not fun. I don't like it at all. And that's why I'm here. So it's June. I was like, it feels like it's been June for a long time. Well, it's beautiful every day.
And people, people always say, I know actually a lot of people who have moved to Florida and quickly moved out of Florida. They didn't like it. I always hear about it. I don't think it's for everyone. It's, I guess the summers are absolutely brutal, but I can deal with that. As I always say, I know there are hurricanes, but you don't have to shovel humidity like you do snow. I'm an outdoor person. I like to be outdoors. So I will just, I'm going to make I'm just going to say that when it comes December, Laura, I am jealous of you.
Well, and I tell you, come December, if I wasn't in Miami, I don't like the cold either. And it takes a lot away from my lifestyle. I can't go outside. I can't go to the parks, play with my kids, go to the beach. So, it's like half your life, you're not even having any fun. So.
Well, my kids keep bugging me also about getting a pool.
Oh, yeah.
We have a great backyard for a pool. It's not a huge backyard, but it's enough to fit a pool and have a little play space for them. But I can't rationalize it because you're in Connecticut. You're only using the pool maybe 3 to 4 months. You can maybe push it to 5, but probably not. So if I live in Florida, because I love when you fly into Florida, you fly in any of the Florida airports, and all you looked at it's all pools. I love that.
Yeah.
But in Connecticut, it's really not, in the Northeast, it's really not worth it because you're only using it for a very short period of time. So anyway, so you don't have to deal with jealous people. That's good for you. You're surrounding yourself with the right people, but I'm jealous. Come December, Laura, I am jealous of you. I'll just tell you that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's get on the show here. So I want to just you're listening to the Eye on Life podcast. We're with Laura Fellows, who is a real estate agent down in Miami, Florida. Mm-hmm. And I want to just thank people who listen to the show. We have some new a couple of new international listeners from Portugal this week. So that's another place I'd love to visit, but I'm coming to Miami first. Miami's got to be the next trip, but probably in the winter. But let me ask you this: you got into real estate recently, I know, and I want to ask you just a little bit about your background. I know you grew up. I think you were from Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I know you spent some time. So you're Southern, you're Southern person, right? So even in Atlanta, I know when it snows in Atlanta, they shut the whole city down. They did the same thing in DC. But tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate.
So I'm from Atlanta, and my parents were in real estate. My dad was a broker. My mom was an agent for years. And so like most kids, they don't want to do what their parents, did. So I went to college for family financial planning, and then as I started getting older, I was always having to go to showings and model homes and just sitting there, contracts. I didn't want to do it. But as I got older, I just started, really getting passionate about it. And the houses here, the real estate in Miami is sexy, right? So, there's condos and these gorgeous houses in Coral Gables. And it's just I just love the architecture, and I love unique designs. And I just, I love luxury and what's not to, and I've been around real estate a long time. So it just felt right. And so I went for it, and here we are.
Now you post a lot on social media, and you do a great job. You have a lot of great content.
Thank you.
And this goes a little back to the whole jealousy thing, but I like how I think the other day you said working from home, and it looks like where you live, which was Sunny Isle. Is that where you're from?
Yes.
So it looks like you live at a resort hotel, with all the amenities.
Right.
So, and I again, going back to what I was saying, pools and outdoor, all that. Is it different? I know it's different. Obviously, real estate's different in Miami than it is in New York. I get that. Mm-hmm. But is there a certain skill set as a real estate person, as a real estate agent, that you have to have in Miami versus maybe other parts of the country? Or is it like, if I can do real estate in Iowa, I can do real estate in Miami? Or is there a different kind of skill set that you have to have based on geography?
I think the skill level in Miami is extremely, extremely competitive. I think you have to align yourself with good allies and strong partnerships very quick. I think that's imperative. And it's no joke. there's some of the best agents in the world that you're competing with every single day. So you really have to put your best foot forward and do a good job, or your phone's not going to ring. It's important.
So, obviously I'm in marketing. So, obviously I know the deal is, relationship building is key. Mm-hmm. In addition to the skills that you have to be a marketer or a real estate agent. And a lot of what you do, I'm sure, is, marketing and sales, obviously. Mm-hmm. But how important are those relationships? When you meet with a prospective client or a client, how does that conversation go? Miami seems to be a pretty, I don't want to simplify what you do, but Miami is a fairly easy sell. What's the conversation that you're having with people that are interested in buying in Miami?
That's a great question. I really feel like no matter what you're doing, but especially in sales, you have to kind of come with value first. So a lot of what I do is, I'll talk to people, I'll ask them about their day, I'll try to provide value in different ways, and then wait till they ask me, hey, what do you do? Well, then I bring up real estate and see if I can add value there. But first I try to, develop a true relationship, a true partnership, and try to go that way with it. Maybe we'll talk about our favorite restaurants or places I like to shop or hairdressers or what have you. And then I try to, kind of do that a little bit and just schmooze and be nice and be authentic.
So let me ask you this question. And we have had shows where we talk a little bit about business. We're going to mix it up today a little bit. We're going to have a little business, a little society, a little pop culture. We're going to get into that in a second too. But here's my question for you. This is kind of a business question. And I have conversations obviously with clients, and, it's about closing the deal, right? It's about the, bringing in that client, bringing in and having maybe that extra dinner or that extra meeting or whatnot, right? Going that extra mile to maybe differentiate yourself from someone else who might also be one of your competitors, right?
Oh, yes.
How do you close the deal? What's your, you don't have to give away your secrets.
Okay.
I know there's like top secret CIA things going on here probably, but in general, how do you close the deal with someone when it comes to a listing that you have?
You know, if it's right, then I can close pretty hard. So if it's something that I think that's a good buy or a good deal, or they're gonna really miss out if they don't take it, then I kind of put a lot of pressure, because if I've ran the numbers and it makes sense, I'll put a lot of pressure and I'm saying, this is it, and then you kind of just stand back, and everybody has to, make their own decisions. But I feel like if you've researched the market to death, you find the perfect, lineup for someone, I put the pressure on them and I say, this is it. And then just kind of walk away. And if it happens, if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then when it does close, I always try to come back with, a good bottle of wine, or, bring in chocolates and flowers, and really give them, something to remember you by.
That's true, because when they walk away, you want them to remember it's not just about the sale, it's about the experience that they have with you. And I think you recently, if I recall correctly, when we were talking, you said that you recently started a new role with a new company. And I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about your company. And then I have another question for you, because I've seen there's a lot in pop culture about real estate agents. You see some of these reality shows, it looks pretty cutthroat. So I want to get to that in a second, but tell us a little bit about the company that you work for now.
So I joined with Sotheby's, One Sotheby's International Realty, and it is a global real estate company. And I'm so excited to be starting at the top. Honestly, they have, everything you can possibly imagine, from, marketing to commercial to, it's just lawyers, just the plethora of resources you have right there. Experts, people have been in the field for 40 years. And so, it's just amazing. It's a great company. I'm so proud to be working with them. They really just raise expectations, just constantly exceeding expectations and just meeting in there. And it's just an incredible company. I'm really excited to be with them, and it's amazing, really.
Well, congratulations on the new role. And as I said, you obviously are not shy. So obviously you have that sales and marketing piece, and that kind of networking and schmoozy piece that we talked about, which is, I think, key. I do have to ask you this. So again, every time I see things on TV, I know real estate, I look, we've done some recent shows on restaurants and hospitality. And I know restaurants can be, it's a very challenging business. As you know, I'm sure you see it in Miami. There are restaurants that are able to sustain themselves, but many, many restaurants are open one week, and then the next week you're like, where'd they go? Like, they didn't even last. And real estate seems to be another one of those kind of all life consuming kind of professions that you're constantly on call. You're constantly trying to massage relationships and things of that nature. So I have a couple questions for you on that. So I am fascinated by real estate. I've never really been involved with it. I hate moving, so I try not to move that much, but I'm fascinated with real estate and kind of what goes on behind the scenes. And you see some of these shows on TV, $1 Million Listing, right? That's one, which I love. These shows are very relaxing. I think there was one in LA, there's one in New York, there's several. And then I think there's Selling Sunset is another one. And you see these homes and they're just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is, how realistic are those shows? There seems to be a lot of drama. I'm sure obviously it's TV, so there's some sensationalism there, but is that at all accurate of how things actually go in the real real estate world?
I think it's worse.
It's worse?
I think it is.
Oh, wow.
It's really is like Empire almost. It really is. It's a pretty, like I said, it's a very competitive industry, and there is a lot of drama. And then at certain tiers, it's kind of small. So you're running into the same people time and time again, so you really want to keep those relationships very strong, because at the top, it is just a few people, you see them over and over again. So it's important to maintain relationships. But yeah, it's a lot of drama. It's fun. And that's real estate for you. When you're working with a lot of personalities and a lot of people and, the socializing and all the aspects, there's a lot of drama to it for sure, which I love.
You're living reality TV then, basically is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's kind of obnoxious.
I'm sure. And it just seems, again, you never know what you see on TV, but it does. And again, it probably depends on what market you're in too. I would think that Miami is extremely competitive. There's obviously a lot of wealth. Yeah. But I kind of have a two-part question for you.
Okay.
because in a lot of these shows, I've seen the actual agents can be real pains in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also seen some of these, the buyers they're so high maintenance. And I feel like if that were me, I'd be like, I would almost have to walk away. I need a break from you right now. What you're asking for is completely unreasonable. It's completely inappropriate. So without throwing any prospective clients under the bus or fellow real estate agents, in general, how do you deal with difficult people? It's not just this. And let me just be very clear to the audience here. Okay. This is not just specific to real estate. We all have to deal with that in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, when you're competing against other real estate agents, and when you have a customer who is, we'll say nice, we won't say pain in the ass, we'll say high, maybe higher maintenance, or they know what they want, right? How do you kind of deal with that and kind of work through the process to make sure they're happy?
I think a lot of it is understanding people. So, for instance, I'm from Atlanta, but a lot of the people that I work with are from all over the world. Right. And so they all have a lot of different cultures and backgrounds. Superstitions play a big role here, where I'm working. And so I think just researching your client and then understanding kind of where they're coming from. Why are they saying this? Are they just being rude? Or is there a real reason? Because they do get very specific in what they're looking for. And to be honest with you, there's not any inventory right now. So you want to do the best you can for your client and keep them happy because you want, those referrals and you want them to call you again. But at the same time, you really have to understand their background a little bit. I think just educating yourself and finding those reasons why, and then trying to turn them onto something else, I think that's the best thing. They're not too fussy, but they can be high maintenance, but I'm a mom, so I'm kind of used to that kind of stuff. So the kids just redirect, they're like, just redirect and, if they throw a tantrum, give them a minute, and just come back.
And I have to ask, if I recall correctly, not to get too personal here, but I think you have a daughter, yes?
I have two.
You have two daughters. Okay.
2 daughters.
And how old are they?
9 and 4.5.
9 and 4.5. Okay. So I imagine I have 2 boys.
And they're very high maintenance.
Well, that's the thing. If you have kids, dealing with anybody is obviously less intense than dealing with the children. I get that.
Especially your own children.
Well, that's exactly. That's the key. So maybe they will follow in your footsteps. Do you think that they will follow in your footsteps someday?
I think so. I think my 9-year-old Alexa loves real estate and she loves to go with me on showings and walkthroughs. And I think she will. And she also wants to be an actress, but she's, also said, real estate acting. And I'm like, okay, do it, so I think so.
I want to get to the acting piece in a second.
Okay.
I want to talk about that, but I do have, you raised a really interesting point because when you talk about Miami, right? Mm-hmm. And any major market like a Miami or a New York or DC or LA, mm-hmm. To your point, there's a lot of diversity. You're having, Miami is a very international city, right? There are people from all over the world that live there, that work there, that visit there, all of that. Mm-hmm. And so you made a point though about like cultural differences. So is there anything in the training that you have to go through or anything like that? Because if you're dealing with somebody who's from the States or you're dealing with somebody who might be from elsewhere, everyone brings something different to the table, right? Mm-hmm. Big cultural norms and mores and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So it's obviously not a one size fits all when you're interacting with clients. So how do you sort of adjust from maybe somebody that might be, as I said before, from the Midwest in the United States to someone that's coming in from Shanghai, China or something like that?
I think what helps me too is growing up in Atlanta, there was kind of a melting pot of people, especially in the 90s, and there were people from, everywhere. So I think that's helped me a lot. But, you just have to do your research. And I think that's helped me a lot.
Research is good. And yeah, it's business 101, know your audience, right?
Know your audience.
So that's obviously key. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to go into pop culture for a little bit, and then we'll wrap up with a couple more real estate questions. You're listening to the Eye on Life podcast. Follow us, like us, share us, and we're talking to Miami real estate agent Laura Fellows. We're thrilled to have Laura on the show today. So I feel like every time there's a mention of a celebrity these days, mm-hmm. they're either living or spending time in Miami. Miami seems to be like the Hollywood, the LA of the East Coast.
Yeah.
So how does that kind of play into, the lifestyle in Miami? Do you run into a lot of celebrities? How different is the lifestyle, like say from Miami to where you grew up in Atlanta? It just seems to be a much different world in Miami. How does that kind of play into everything for you?
It's totally different. And the celebrity clients that you do kind of run into and you come across, you really want to sign, NDA. You don't really talk about it very much. It's very private. It's very exclusive. And that's what I think Miami is really about. It's about exclusivity. It's about luxury. It's about high end. It's about top-notch people. So we don't really talk too much about, our business. And I think that's, and I mean, between the clients and, you don't go around town being, so is my client, and I tell my husband stuff, but
right.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep sophistication with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I know there are a lot of properties down. I think there's that one island. I think it was Tom Brady and Giselle just bought a house on that. What's that exclusive island where like there's like no access to it? Isn't there an island down there? Which one? What's it called?
Fisher Island and Star Island and those. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I looked at a few houses down there and they wouldn't quite let me in. I didn't quite have the income. I'm being obviously very facetious when I say that. But yeah, I would imagine that when people move, if you have a home, and my guess is that if you have one of those homes, you have multiple homes in multiple places, and people, you don't necessarily want people knowing exactly where you're living. So I would imagine that's the NDA, the whole NDA piece on that. Let me ask you this. So there's a perception oftentimes, especially, in the Northeast, that Florida in general is really where you go when you're, 70, 80 years old.
Yes.
And I know that I'm sure there are different parts of Florida where there are, there is that population, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Of course.
So, like that whole thing with Del Boca Vista, right? That's where people go to die, right? Is Florida. Yeah. They go to die in Florida. But Miami, obviously, it seems like Miami has a mix, obviously. I'm sure there are people who go down to retire. I know there's a lot of, economic development going on in Miami. There's a young, hip, vibrant, nightlife scene there and all that. But in general, how would you kind of describe the Miami lifestyle?
How would I describe the Miami lifestyle?
Yeah, is it laid back? Is it intense? Is it you have the warm weather, the whole tropical piece of it, but what's it like down there, really?
So I'll tell you, it's interesting because Miami is interesting in the fact that you can get what you want out of it whenever you want out of it. So I'll give an example. If I want to go and not sit down and get as much work done as possible, you can do that here. You can literally dig yourself in and plow through. Or if you want to turn off your phone and literally walk downstairs and go to the beach and just feel like you're on an island, in the middle of nowhere, and just turn it off, you have that too. So it really is up to you what you want to get out of each day. I literally plan each day of what would be a perfect day for me tomorrow. And, I wake up, very, very early, and I just kind of go through my list of like all the things I want to do. And, I try my best to get it done, but that's kind of the lifestyle. I mean, it's quick, it's easy. I have valet, so people bring up my groceries and they help me get, my kids in, and they park the car, and it's just very, very nice.
It sounds like there's a mix. You can kind of take a little break. You can kind of disconnect a little bit, and having that nice weather too. It's just so nice because you can. I feel like up here, right? It's almost, it's like this rat race, right? And now it's like, and now it's like you have to fit everything in now because come September and October, the leaves. And I do love fall. Mm-hmm. I just hate winter. I hate what's after. But I feel like there's more opportunity down in Miami to maybe, again, that outdoor lifestyle. Every time I go to every time I'm in a warm weather climate, Miami or like I love San Diego. Mm-hmm. Going back to the whole jealousy piece, I see these people that are jogging. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you get to do that all year. I mean, mm-hmm. Come. I don't really enjoy jogging in 20-degree weather. I mean, maybe I'm crazy.
No, it hurts. It hurts. Your face and everything's burning. Yeah. It's awful. You're going to get pneumonia doing that.
Right. I don't mind humidity, I really don't. And so going back to the theme of jealousy again, that keeps coming up here, but I do. And that's why eventually I would like to be in a warm weather climate, Miami, all year long. So let me ask you this. So going back to what you were kind of saying about how there's a little bit of something for everyone.
Oh, yes.
How do you kind of manage that work-life balance? Because I imagine that your job is not necessarily 9 to 5. No. I'm sure you're on call probably early, maybe late at night. Yeah. So I'm wondering how, like for me, okay, for example, I remember looking at college when I was looking at colleges, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to University of Miami. If I go to the University of Miami, I will last there one semester. I will be distracted, at that point in my life. You're young, you want to, you're out there, you're an 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go to the beach. You want to be hanging out with the I sound old when I say it, the co-eds, but you want to be doing that. You're going to be going, you're partying. So for me, it was like, it'd be very hard to balance. I'm at a point in my life now where I have maybe a little bit more maturity, hopefully a little bit. But I'm wondering how, when you live in that kind of climate, when you live and you have that kind of lifestyle where you can go to the beach, you can walk out the door and go to the beach. There's a lot of entertainment. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of, hospitality, restaurants. How do you manage the work side of what you do with having some fun down there as well?
To be honest with you, you have to work hard because this stuff is expensive. It is expensive lifestyle. So if you can't pay your bills and you can't catch up and you can't close, it's not going to be a lot of beach. Like today, I wanted to go lay on the beach, and I literally, some days I do. Some days I give myself a pass. I'm like, you know what, just go lay on the beach for a little while, and you have to. But I think you better go. I mean, it's like I said, it's go, go, go. And if you don't call somebody back right now, somebody else is going to call them. So yeah, the work-life balance doesn't really exist. I mean, you have to kind of set a time, like you have to schedule, an hour a day to go work out, schedule yourself, an hour maybe to go lay out. But for most, and it's fun though. But if you like what you do, it's fun.
I feel like sometimes in cities like Miami, there is and I really want to make sure I'm not making a generalization. This is a perception, and this is why I'm asking you, because you're, again, the Miami guru that we're talking about here. But I always remember, this is kind of just a funny little story. I was down in the area, and I went to walk around the University of Miami, and I had my kids with me. Mm-hmm. And I remember asking my son, who at the time he's 14 now, and at the time he was probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8.
Okay.
And I remember we were walking around the campus, and I said, "Oh, do you like this campus?" And he said to me, he's like, "I do, Daddy, but there's one problem." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He's like, "Well, the girls are dressed very inappropriately." and so, because you walk around the campus there, and it's different than when you're up here, where things are a little more buttoned up.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So I guess so there's I feel like there's a little bit of a vanity factor. Mm-hmm. Only in the sense, I'm not saying that all people of Miami are vain. I'm not saying that at all. Let me be very clear. But I feel like when you live in a climate where you can kind of, be outside all year, there's more opportunities to exercise. You're maybe wearing clothes that are a little bit more. I'm not saying people are exposing themselves, you know what I mean? But, your short sleeve shirts, shorts, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But is that a part of a culture down there? Is it like a health and wellness culture, and everybody has to look good, and there are pretty people, and everybody has to be good looking? And how does that kind of play into everything down there as far as the culture goes?
I think what's really interesting and what I love about Miami is you can really express yourself. My puppy, but you can really express yourself here. So
that sounds like a toy, right? Is that a toy that I'm hearing from the puppy? Oh, there you go. I have to ask now, what kind of dog do you have? What kind of puppy do you have?
I have a Havanese.
Those are great.
Cuban dog. Yeah, she's great. So to get back to your question though, what was your question?
Wait. I'm sorry. We digress on the show all the time. I'm going to get back to that. But so you said that's a Havanese. So you have a Cuban dog.
Yes.
Well, of course, in Florida, it's almost like you have to have a Cuban dog in Florida.
Yeah. Look at her.
Let's see. Oh, she's adorable. Now, what's her name?
Kai.
Kai?
Baby Kai, yeah.
Adorable. That must be great. Now, so you're a pet lover.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm obsessed.
One of the shows that we're going to do is we're doing a show on pet lovers. Maybe we'll get you back on, okay. Because I'm not like, I like pets. I don't have any.
Okay.
My kids are enough. But I always am fascinated by people who are literally obsessed with their pets.
Yeah.
Are you now? Would you consider yourself to be obsessed with Kai, or?
Yes.
I could tell.
Like obsessed.
I could. Now let me ask you a question. Now, who gets more attention, your husband or the dog? Be honest. Be honest. I know there are a lot of spouses that don't get as much attention as the family pet. I know that.
She gets all of our attention constantly. So yeah.
That's fair. So I had to digress there because dog people are usually very nice people. And I always make sure that when I tell people that I don't have a pet, I said I still like pets because
Yeah.
what I've heard about is that oftentimes people that like hate pets, they're narcissists, right? Because narcissists, they have a tough time loving. So that's a whole separate show right there. But
yeah, definitely.
but I always make sure that it's just because I don't have a pet doesn't mean I hate them. I do enjoy pets. I just don't have I just can't handle the responsibility right now of a pet.
Yes.
My kids, my work, it's all enough right now.
And walking the dog in cold weather, like that's not fun.
Again, another benefit of living in Miami, you can walk that dog out by the beach every day.
Get a pet, yeah.
That's fair. If I moved to Miami,
you have a Dalmatian on the beach and y'all can go for a run every day.
Perfect.
See?
This is why. See, anybody who criticized me for not having a dog, when I get to Miami, I'm buying a dog.
I'll buy one for you if you get a house for me.
There you go. Now, do you have to? But is there? Now, let me ask you this question, okay? Because we digress on the show all the time.
Okay.
When you're in Miami, is there a kind of dog that it's like acceptable to have, or does it not really matter? I'm asking that. Like, I don't see. I love bulldogs. I think those are really cool dogs, but I'm not seeing. I'm just not seeing. I'm not feeling a bulldog in Miami. I'm seeing the Havanese. I'm seeing. I don't know, like less dogs that have like maybe less hair because it's so hot out. I don't know. Is there
it's interesting. My boss has a Great Dane.
Oh, I love those. Those are great. Those are actually very cool dogs.
Yeah, it's super cool. And she actually has her own Instagram. She's got like 44,000 followers or something. But I find her like extremely cool. Like the dog's pretty cool to have a Great Dane in Miami because you don't really see that very often. But I think for the most part, you have poodles and your little Bijans and Havanese and stuff like that. I have seen one bulldog, but that's about it. They're usually smaller breeds because a lot of us live in condos and, so, but if they're service dogs, I can get your dog in, but like.
Well, service dog in quotes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, I'm very anxious. I have to pet my dog. If I don't pet my dog, I might have an attack.
My pit bull really quick.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, that's good though. I feel like you don't need a doctor's note or anything for that. Hopefully. I have another. Okay, so we've completely digressed. I do want to let you get back to that question. I asked you a question. I'm not even letting you answer, but I have another question that I have to ask you.
Okay.
Because we have a long standing debate on this show. I have a tendency to rant on the show.
Okay, I love a rant.
This is a little bit of a rant that I've had, but I have to ask you because this is definitely a Miami kind of question.
Okay.
In the past, I have had a rant about it was actually one of my first shows, and I went on this rant about people when they exercise, particularly men, who jog without shirts. And so like up here when I see somebody not wearing a shirt. And I've said this before. We've had this rant before, but this is totally a Miami question, so that's why I'm digressing here.
Okay.
I'm very secure in my sexuality, so that's not what it's about.
No.
But there's just something to me about these guys that run with no shirts on. So I'm not going to ask you specifically about guys, or if you can answer that if you want. But is there, when you're in Miami, when it comes to like going for a jog, running with your dog, is there certain attire that is acceptable versus not acceptable? Because I find that to me, it's like a look at me culture. Look at me, I'm buff. I can get away without wearing a shirt. And so I'm going to do that. And look at me because look at my physique. I feel like that might be more acceptable in Miami.
It definitely is encouraged.
It's encouraged. So it's encouraged in Miami.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so eventually when I move to Miami, this is something that I have to get over. I have to be like, assume that if you're in Miami, you're seeing guys running around with no shirts on.
Yeah.
Do they have that in Orlando or Tampa too? I mean, can I still be in Florida without having to look at guys with no shirts on, or is that a Miami thing, or is that just a Florida thing?
I think it's a Florida thing. I think people try to get a tan while they're running.
Is it an age thing? Because I don't want to. Again, when I'm 80 years old, I guess I really won't care at that point.
Yeah.
But it's not like a bunch of like these 80-year-old guys flopping around down there, right? It's probably like younger.
No, I'll be honest with you. I think most of the people in Miami that you see running around, they're kind of our age. They're 30s, 40s, 50s, and then around, 60 or so, people either stay in their houses more or, they sit out, outside the little restaurants and stuff, but they're not running. I haven't seen anyone very elderly, I should say, running without their shirt on. I haven't seen it. It probably exists.
I am going to have a field day when I get down there. I'm going to be shaming everyone that doesn't wear a shirt. Put a shirt on. There are plenty of breathable shirts too. The only time if you're running in and you're jumping right in the water, I guess maybe that's okay. The only person that shouldn't be that has the free reign to not wear a shirt is David Hasselhoff, who I have not talked about on the show in a while. You just raised another very important question that I've talked about on the show, and then I'm going to let you go. We're going to wrap things up with a couple more real estate questions. This show is very random. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I love it.
It's very, very random. Very random. It's a little bit of an ADD that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question for you.
Okay.
We've talked about like things on the show that are sometimes a little bit taboo.
Okay.
You know, and everybody has their own definitions. Like running without a shirt to me is not taboo, but it's just put a shirt on. But but in Florida, right? You just mentioned there are a lot of different demographics down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it acceptable? Do you think, in your opinion, is your personal opinion, not necessarily a Miami thing, I'm saying for you, Laura,
okay.
Is it acceptable to engage with somebody in a conversation about their age? In other words, asking somebody how old they are.
People ask me that all the time, and I don't really like it. So I don't ask people how old they are. Do I think you should ask people how old they are?
I'm not saying you should. I'm saying if it comes up naturally, is it acceptable? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, don't ask somebody their age. That's offensive. But I mean, who cares? You are what you are. I mean, I guess why don't you like it? I guess when people ask that.
I don't know. My mom told everyone that she was 29 I think she's still saying it. I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's a girl thing or what, but I just don't. I feel like for a woman, especially when people ask me, they either ask me and they say, oh, you look great for your age. And I'm like, oh, thanks. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but age doesn't really come up too much in Miami. I'll be honest with you. It really doesn't. Like I said, everyone's just so free spirited and able to express themselves and appreciate it. I feel like people value people a lot here. And so just be your age. I'll be my age.
You raised a good point. I feel like the question as a standalone is not, it's not a bad question. I don't think it's offensive.
No.
But it's the follow-up question. Oh, you look good for your age. What the hell is that?
Yeah. Like
don't
Chrissy
say
Brinkley.
that.
You can't just say, oh, she's beautiful. It's like, oh God, she's so old. I can't believe she looks that great. Like nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, I don't understand. Just let it go and say, oh, just say you look great. You don't even have to say for your age. Just say you look great. That makes sense. I'm wondering because, again, I have no problem stating what my age is. If somebody asks me that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I do know that some people actually get offended. I almost feel like that's almost like a generational thing too.
Maybe so.
Like when, I don't know. I'm not going to ask. Don't worry. I'm not going to ask you what your age is. But I feel like I'm probably a little bit older than you. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a lot older than you. I don't know. But I feel like when I was growing up, it was like almost like you don't do that. But now I feel like it doesn't really matter. You are what you are.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people shouldn't offer it up as much. There's a lot of women that just look so gorgeous and then go and tell you the number. They're like, well, I'm this old. I'm like, why'd you tell me? You know what I mean? Like, just because now I have like, not like a label, but you know what I mean? Like, because I wouldn't have known otherwise. Everybody takes such good care of themselves nowadays. You know what I mean? With the exercise and the eating healthy and,
right.
Trying to go to bed on time and all of that. So I don't know.
Well, you know what? I have no problem with it. I'm 46. I'm stating it right now. I have no issue saying that.
I can't say it.
You're not going to say? Can you give
no.
How about a range? Give us a range.
No.
You can't, no range?
No range, no.
You can't say 30s, 20s, 40s?
No.
All right, fair enough. I promise I will not. Journalistic integrity is that so I started my career in journalism. You don't keep pressing because then you don't have people come back for a second time. So I want to ask, oh great, I just put myself out there. See, vulnerability. Now I'm into this like old man.
You're not.
I do want to start to wrap things up, and I really do appreciate. We're with Laura Fellows, who is a real estate agent in Miami, Florida. Do you have to say Miami, Florida, or can you say Miami?
Nowadays, just Miami is fine.
Because that's a Connecticut thing. I'm in West Hartford. But that's such a Connecticut thing. People say I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. I don't think there are that many Hartfords out there. We're the capital, but I think. But Miami, I think it's safe to just say Miami. But let me ask you this question: as far as being a real estate agent, going back to that, What are your biggest challenges as a real estate agent, you know, in the Miami market, and especially over the past year where we have obviously had, you know, a lot of, you know, with COVID and maybe not as many people out. Is it still a pretty hot market down there, or what's kind of, I don't mean the weather climate, but what's kind of the business climate and the real estate market down there right now?
Miami's, and like you talk about pop culture, I knew this was coming for a couple of years now. And Miami is just, like, with the music and the clothes and the fashion and, you know, just Florida lifestyle in general is just very open, you know. So, you know, I feel like it's very hot. Everybody wants to be in Miami right now, you know, and we're out of inventory. There's, you know, prices are, a lot of the New Yorkers have driven up the prices so high. I mean, you wouldn't believe, you know, what you're getting for all these millions of dollars right now. Miami's hot. It's the place to be. And it's you know, it's a long time coming. It really is. It's the last, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, you know, and especially the last 2, I'm like, we've got to get down there. I've lived in Florida for, I don't know, 5 or so years. And just the last couple of years, you know, just, you know, I want to get down here. So here we are. It's just a place to be right now. It really is.
How has COVID impacted the way you guys do business down there? Because I know it was a hotbed down there at one point. I don't know how things are down there right now, but has that hindered any of the work that you do, or maybe it's even helped because
I think it's helped.
Yeah.
COVID's helped Florida in so many ways. I mean, it really has. It's, you know, with the crypto and everything down here now, it's flushed the economy with money. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, obviously people have gotten sick, you know, and that's sad. But otherwise it's been, you know, that aside, that's a different conversation, like you say. But it's been good.
So I always say like 2 more questions and then it ends up being 5, but I think I really only have 2 more.
Okay.
My first question is, as far as the way it sort of works in the Miami-Dade area, right?
Yeah.
People, see, I do my research. I know that.
You're good.
Right? We talked Brickell and
he's talking Brickell.
All those great neighborhoods, but when people move down to Miami, because you mentioned something earlier in our conversation, you said a lot of us live in condos. Mm-hmm. Is it, and it's probably a mix, but as far as trends go on the real estate market, are people living in condos? Are they living in the suburbs? Are they living in downtown Miami? Where are people? I know they're going all over. I'm sure it's not just one place, but is there like kind of a hotbed? Is urban living picking up? I know that's picking up here in the Northeast. How's that working?
I think Brickell's very, very popular. Miami Beach is very, very popular. Sunny House Beach is very, very popular. Houses are very expensive here. And so I feel like with a condo, you can live like you have $10 million and maybe you don't, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's so great. The amenities are insane, you know, beach service, and you can order food on the beach. And it really is like, you know, you feel like a movie star every day. So I think that's that. And then, but you know, the houses are, you know, gorgeous too. And like I said, Miami Beach is very, very, you know, Coconut Grove is a great neighborhood. Coral Gables, of course, is so family friendly. And, you know, and before I moved here, I didn't realize how accessible things were too. Like Sunny Isles is a great place for kids. You can literally walk everywhere, you know, and it's still, you know, tons of cars and all that, but they're not, you know, well, they're not in your face with it so much, you know, and with the clothing and everything. So if you have kids, it's just a great place. Sunny Isles is a great place for that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it just seems like there are a lot of options down there. And I have to say that there's actually not one. I never feel like a movie star.
You don't?
No, I don't feel like a movie star. Maybe if I move to Miami someday, I will feel like a movie star. But right now, I feel very good. I just don't feel like a movie star per se.
You're kind of giving me George Clooney vibes.
George Clooney vibes.
Yeah.
Like in what way? Like in the mannerisms, or like, I mean, I have to, because I take that as a compliment.
Like just appearance wise.
Well, thank you. I'm going to say thank you. That's another one of those things. So I'm glad you actually brought that up. See, the show never ends when it's supposed to. So that's another thing. You have to be always, not you, but have you ever had a conversation with someone and they say that you look like someone?
Uh-huh.
Right. And so you have to be very, very careful when you do. It's like the age thing, because does anybody tell you that you look like someone?
When I was younger, I got some different ones.
Because I feel like you have a unique look, so I'll say that. But I do feel like that there are some people out there that are famous that you could potentially look like. And I'm asking, but again, as I was saying, you have to be very careful, because I don't know if you've ever had this conversation with someone and you say, "Oh, you look like so and so," or like, "Oh, gee, thanks, great, that person's hideous."
Yeah.
But if you say George Clooney or something like that, I'm not taking that. I'm taking that as a compliment.
Yeah, that's a great compliment.
But what has somebody, is there anybody that has said that you look like a certain actress or something?
Well, I hate to say it because I don't think I look like any of these people, but I have gotten, when I was younger, I got Catherine Zeta-Jones, which was weird. I got Ashley Judd, and I've also gotten Britney Spears. I've gotten just to name a couple, but yeah.
The blonde hair with the Britney Spears, I guess, probably, right?
I guess so, maybe. I don't know.
Interesting. That's one thing I don't really go there because I could say someone and then people get very easily offended. But there actually been, that happened to me once. I actually told someone that I forgot who it was. You know who it was? It was, remember Janine Garofalo? Remember her?
Not really.
I think she's like a comedian actress. She's not elegant, but she's cute.
Okay.
And I remember I told somebody, and it was a total compliment, you look like Janine Garofalo.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, I that was the last time I ever did that. That person was so offended.
Really? I feel like looks are so objective. So I wouldn't get offended by something, because like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Britney Spears look nothing alike. So that's what I'm saying. Like everyone, I feel like it's just very subjective looks. So. All
right. Since we had this conversation and the show, the good thing about Eye on Life is that we try to be as authentic as possible. I'm going to throw someone out here that I think that you might resemble. Okay. And you can tell me I'm either crazy. You can say you're offended. It's a compliment. Denise Richards. Have you heard that?
Oh, love it. No.
And actually
I love that though. She's beautiful.
Oh, she's great. And
thank you.
We have another theme. I told you about the Nickelback theme, which we won't go into, but we also have a Charlie Sheen theme on this show.
Love him.
I love Charlie Sheen, who they were married, I think, right? He's been married to several women, but I think they were married and then divorced
briefly.
But that's so that's actually a good connection to the show. My goal is to get Charlie Sheen on the show.
You will.
He's not going to come on the show. I've tried to reach, but if you don't ask, you never. But anyway, so that's okay. So I passed the mark on that one. Denise Richards. I think look it up. You'll see. I think there's definitely a resemblance.
Thank you.
My final question. This is my final question, and I am my caveat when I say this question.
Okay.
You're getting worried here, but this is a.
I hate guys. So.
What's that?
I hate goodbyes, so I don't know. I'm not an awkward goodbyer. Like I don't ever give a good sign off because I'm sad when it's over. But...
Well, you don't have to. I'm the one who does the sign off, so you don't have to worry about it. I take all that pressure off you. But I have a selfish question for you.
Okay, what is it?
My selfish question is going back to this Miami real estate.
Oh yeah.
I really do right now. Honestly, my kids. I have my oldest son will be 15 in August, so he's not quite there yet. I have a 12-year-old, so I still have many, many years left of. Well, I shouldn't say it's actually going very quickly. You'll see that too, right, with your kids. Mm-hmm. But I do have several years left of living up here in the Northeast. But eventually, I really do plan on living in Florida, and Miami is really my target right now. So my question to you is, what is the future of Miami real estate? When I start looking? And I'm not saying I'm going to wait 10 years to look,
no.
But what can I expect in the next, few years when I start to maybe do some research on Miami? What are some things that I should look out for? What are some things that I should be, concerned about, excited about? And again, I won't hold you to anything. I know things change.
No, you're fine. I will say that right now with like COVID and everything, it's not like it was with the recession. It's completely opposite. I think the economy is just going to get stronger and stronger here. I would encourage anyone probably to buy now, because I'm not going to go down. It's only more people moving here. It's only more hype right now. So I feel like it's just going to get stronger. And as the economy grows and everything, just gets back to normal, I think it's going to be even better here. I really do, especially with Chinese investors coming in. And it's really, really, it's like the new LA. It really is. And so, what prices are like there. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on that.
So there's an investment component. Obviously, you could buy a place and not necessarily live there for rent it out or whatnot.
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. That really.
Well, we're going to say goodbye in a second, but I do want to follow up with you because I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about Miami real estate, selfishly off the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
And then my only so you said last question, but is there any area that you would say right now is, and let's say like right around Miami, maybe in the city or right outside the city, but is there any place that you kind of say right now, good, but 5-10 years from now, great, buy now, when I say buy low, buy now, and in a few years, this place is going to be absolutely just booming?
For me, it's Sunny Isles Beach. And honestly, that's why I'm here. there was a condo that just sold the other day for $56 million, and they have a couple up right now that are $36 million. And so I think Sunny Isles, let me just quickly say about Sunny Isles. It is in Miami. It's on the sea. It's gorgeous, but it wasn't always the trendiest spot. And it really is right now. Just if you looked around right now, there's all these luxury high rise and the Porsche design tower and just everything and it's new, everything's brand new. So there's that too. Like if you want new construction, if you want, everything brand spanking new and like cutting edge design. So I think Sunny Isles Beach would be a great place to buy as quick as you can.
We could be neighbors.
Yeah, I would love that.
If I'm your neighbor, your property value is going way down. I'm just telling you that right now. So I'm just giving you the warning. When I move into a neighborhood, the property levels seem to, people tend to move out of the area. I don't know what it is. I I keep my yard nice. I shower. I don't know what the problem is, but people,
you won't run without a shirt on.
What's that?
You won't run without a shirt on. You got to take the shirt off and start running around, and prices will go up.
I'm keeping the shirt on. I can't because I'm on record now. I can't be hypocritical. I'm saying if I'm going to tell other people they can't wear a shirt, I'm wearing the shirt. There are breathable shirts, people.
Breathable shirts.
You got me going on again. But anyway, Laura, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the Eye on Life podcast. If anybody, just so people know, where can people find you? If anybody has real estate questions or wants to follow you on social media or learn more about your company, where can they go to find more information? So I'm at Laura L. Fellows. So you can find me there. All over. And you're on Instagram's huge for you. I know that. And I'm at Sotheby's and Sunny Isles too. So if you have any real estate, you can call my office. If you have any real estate questions, I'd be happy to answer anything you want to ask. Well, that clearly, because you answered all my crazy, ridiculous questions. So, so check out Laura. If you're moving to Miami, looking to move to Miami, looking for information on Miami, Laura is clearly the person down there. And if you never need advice on dogs or raising children, raising two girls, Laura is also for you. Yeah. Laura, thanks so much for being on the Eye on Life podcast. Again, share us, like us, follow us, and of course, follow Laura. And until next time, keep an eye on Laura, keep an eye on Miami real estate, and keep an eye on life. Thank you.